Chapter 1. The Night the World Stood Still. The Story of Paganini. The year is 1805. The place is Italy. The man is Niccolò Paganini. People didn't just listen to Paganini. They feared him. He played with a speed that didn't seem human. His fingers moved like lightning. Rumors whispered that his mother had sold his soul to the devil to give him this gift. He was the first true rock star of history. Imagine the scene. The room is silent. The richest, most powerful people in Europe are sitting in their chairs, waiting. Paganini lifts his violin. He begins to play. The music is perfect. It is a complex masterpiece. Suddenly, snap. One string breaks. The sound is like a gunshot in the silent hall. The audience gasps. A normal musician would stop. They would bow, apologize, and leave the stage to fix the instrument. But Paganini doesn't even blink. He continues. He adjusts his fingers in a split second. He plays the same complex notes, using only the 3 strings that remain. The music continues. It's even more intense now. But then snap. The second string breaks. Now, the audience is terrified. It is impossible to play this music on 2 strings. It is mathematically impossible. But Paganini's eyes are closed. He is in a trance. He is not looking at the broken strings. He is looking at the music in his mind. He shifts his hand higher on the neck of the violin. The melody is still there. Then, it happens again. Snap. The 3rd string breaks. Now, there is only 1 string left on the violin. The G string. The lowest, deepest string. The audience rises from their seats. They expect him to quit. Paganini stops for 1 heartbeat. He looks at the broken, hanging strings. He looks at the crowd. He lifts his violin high and shouts, "Paganini," and 1 string. He begins to play. And what comes out of that violin is not a broken song. It is the most beautiful, haunting, and powerful music ever heard. He uses every centimeter of that 1 string. He turns his limitation into a miracle. When he finishes, the crowd doesn't just clap. They scream. They cry. Because they didn't just see a concert. They saw a human being overcome the impossible. Chapter 2. The Biology of the 1 String. Why does this story matter to you today? Because your life is that violin. Right now, you feel like your strings are breaking. Asterisk. I don't have enough money. Snap. Asterisk. My English is not perfect yet. Snap. Asterisk. I don't have enough time. Snap. You are waiting for the day when your violin is fixed. You say, I will start my business when I have more money. I will speak to the world when my accent is better. I will be happy when I have no problems. But the truth is, the strings will always break. Life is not about having 4 strings. Life is about what you can do with the 1 string that is left. Let's look at the science. Why can some people succeed in a war zone, like Anne Frank, while others fail in a palace? It's because of a system in your brain called the reticular activating system. RAS. Your RAS is the gatekeeper of your mind. Every second, millions of pieces of information hit your senses. Your brain cannot process all of it. So, the RAS filters the world based on what you think is important. Asterisk. If you think like a small thinker, your RAS is programmed to see broken strings. It looks for excuses. It finds reasons why you will fail. And the complete end quote. Asterisk. If you think like a big thinker, you program your RAS to see the one string. When Paganini's strings broke, his RAS didn't see disaster. It saw a new way to play. When you decide to focus on your goal despite your problems, you are literally rewiring your biology. In physics, we have a formula for power P, where P is power, W is work, your effort, and T is time. If you spread your effort W across 100 different broken strings, worrying about the past, comparing yourself to others, complaining about the news your time T is wasted, your power becomes 0. But if you take all your effort W and put it into one string, one goal, 1 hour of focus, one step forward, your power becomes infinite. You don't need more resources. You need more intensity. Chapter 3. Killing the disease of Excusitis. There is a disease more dangerous than any virus. It is called Excusitis. It is the habit of explaining why you are not successful. Most people are small thinkers because they have a PhD in Excusitis. Asterisk. My English is bad because I wasn't born in the UK. Asterisk. I am not rich because the economy is bad. Asterisk. I am not healthy because I am too busy. Listen to me carefully. An excuse is just a lie you tell yourself so you don't have to grow. Paganini could have made an excuse. The strings were poor quality, he could have said. It's not my fault. But a leader doesn't care whose fault it is. A leader only cares about the music. They all had one string. Asterisk. Steve Jobs didn't have a factory. He had a garage and a vision. Asterisk. Anne Frank didn't have freedom. She had a diary and a soul. Asterisk. The man in the cement factory didn't have a degree. He had a notebook and 1 hour before work. They stopped shrinking. They stopped waiting for the 4 strings to return. They realized that greatness is a decision, not a condition. Chapter 4. The Science of the Zone. Psychology of Flow. What happened to Paganini in that moment when the 3rd string snapped? He didn't panic. He didn't sweat with fear. Instead, he entered a state that modern psychology calls flow. You might know it as the zone. It is the most powerful state of human consciousness. It is the moment where your skill perfectly matches your challenge, and the world around you disappears. When you are in flow, your sense of time vanishes. Your ego, that little voice in your head that says, I might fail, or what will they think of me, goes silent. In biology, this is called transient hypofrontality. It sounds complex, but the meaning is simple. The boss of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for self-criticism and overthinking, temporarily shuts down. This allows your subconscious mind to take over. Paganini's conscious mind couldn't play a masterpiece on one string. It was too logical to succeed. But his subconscious mind, the part that had practiced for 20,000 hours, knew exactly where to move his fingers. The lesson for you: most small thinkers never enter the flow state because they are too busy watching their broken strings. They are overthinking their mistakes. If you are learning English and you are constantly thinking about your grammar, you will never speak fluently. Why? Because your prefrontal cortex is blocking your flow. To play on your one string, you must give yourself permission to be imperfect. Flow doesn't happen when you are perfect. It happens when you are fully engaged. Chapter 5. The Architecture of Leadership. Acting before you are ready. There is a common myth in this world. People think that you become a leader when you get a title. They think you become successful when you get the money. This is a lie. This is small thinking. Paganini didn't wait for the audience to vote on whether he should continue. He didn't look at the stage manager for permission. He decided he was the master of that stage the moment he picked up the violin. Leadership is not a position. Leadership is an internal architecture. Think about this. A. Thermometer simply tells you the temperature. It reacts to the environment. If the room is cold, it stays cold. If people are complaining, it complains. This is how 99% of people live. They are small thinking thermometers. A thermostat sets the temperature. It doesn't care if the room is freezing. It decides what the environment should be, and it works to change it. Paganini was a thermostat. He changed the energy of the room from pity to awe. Recall the man from the cement factory. He worked 12 hours a day in the dust. His environment said, "You are a slave to the machine." But his internal architecture said, "I am a builder of land." He didn't wait to leave the factory to start thinking like a CEO. He started thinking like a CEO while his hands were still covered in cement. The leadership test. If you want to live big, you must stop asking, "When will I be ready?" The answer is never. You will never feel 100% ready. You will always have a broken string. Leadership is the courage to stand up and say, "I have one string, and I will play a masterpiece anyway."